Hello, everybody. Hope everybody's all right. And everything's okay here. So it's going to be a little noisy because the air conditioning is actually working and that will not stop as it's getting close to 90 degrees. 90 degrees Fahrenheit. That's I'm going to get to that pretty much throughout the weekend and to Monday. And so that means that the air conditioning is going to work today to stay cool inside. And this is okay here. Everything looks good here. A little sip of the drink of choice. Cheers, everyone. So, welcome aboard. This is the Shortwave radio show. We are the Saturday edition and the last before a little bit of vacation. Yep, I'm taking a month off for those that don't know. So, I will be back only on August 17th after today's show. So, hope that you'll enjoy. And I'll be enjoying a little bit of, off time. I'll be making videos. So, of course, you'll see videos. My top 10 radios are coming up in the next day or two. So, that also is, I've gathered all the radios, just taking some notes to give the positive, negative sides of each. So, we'll talk about that. And so, it's going to be a mix of portables and of me, and a couple of SDRs in there. So, my name is Jill. I'm located in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, northeast part of North America. We are live usually twice a week, but we won't be until August 17th now on Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And that's 0 hours Universal Time, Thursday for the rest of the world. And Saturday at around 4 p.m. Eastern Time, that's 20 hours Universal Time. So we are going to have a lot of fun with that. So the next show, like I said, will be August the 17th. And on August the 20th, do take note as it's going to be a special for the 40th anniversary of my radio listening passion. So in 1982, it all started with a realistic DX100. It will be here and working on that night. And we will, I don't know, I'm thinking of how special, and how the way the special it can, the night could be on that evening. So I'm going to be checking out a few things for sure. So this is going to be really, really a lot of fun. And I think, 40 years, pretty incredible. You never know what happens. And you don't think that 40 years later, you'd be doing a live show on YouTube to talk about all of this, honestly. And it all started with one little thing, a little radio. There's a chat room that is great, great people, really a lot of fun to be there. And very respectful people. If you're new to the hobby, this is the place where if you're new to the hobby, if you have questions, anything, you actually should be here and you can ask questions. People are super friendly and it's really great. The chat room is during the live shows, and when the live show's over, well, we got the Facebook group. Facebook group is 2,700 members. Once again, another great place where people are very active and having a lot of fun with radio. Very respectful, answering questions, and just really a great bunch of people. We can say that this is probably one of the best groups of people for radio around. Really, really, really cool. So let's start off. Today is a special QSL card day. So what we're going to do is we're going to have QSL cards that I'm going to show you from my collection, and we're also going to have audio clips, talk about radio stations from the past and present, and hopefully that is going to be interesting. We, I, accumulated a lot of QSL cards over the years. I mean, 40 years. I was mostly active for QSLing probably in the first, I'd say in the 80s when I started. Of course, the for a few years at the beginning, there was a lot of writing for QSL cards and all sorts of things from stations. In the 90s, I kind of probably specialized a little more into the more exotic QSLs that you could get and try to focus on stations I didn't have a QSL card. So in the 90s, that was more of a focus on African stations, for example, stuff like that. And since I've been here, I QSL'd a little bit, but I've not really been very active in writing stations or QSLing since I moved here. It was kind of a different thing. A little bit at the beginning. I would say now it's kind of quiet. My last QSL card that I showed you guys a few weeks ago, the Voice of Mongolia card received from the new transmission of Voice of Mongolia via WRMI, which was pretty cool. And so before that, I had not had a QSL card in a long, long time. And talking of QSL cards, we have a special event tomorrow coming up. For those of you that didn't know, we will activate the CIDX, the Canadian International DX Club station, special event station. And I'll be operating one of them. I'm just going to put this here. So I'll be operating as Victor Echo 2 Zulu Zulu India. That's my call. I will be operating as Victor Echo 2 Alpha Quebec Papa, which is the club call sign from 18 to 22 UTC tomorrow on 14-240, plus or minus. And there's going to be an activation from Alberta with Miki Dalmage operating from Lamont, Alberta, the Victor Echo 2 Sierra Whiskey Lima, Victor Echo 6. Did I say Victor Echo 2? Victor Echo 6 Sierra Whiskey Lima that will be operating from Lamont, Alberta. That will be the west. And for that, there are going to be special QSL cards that are just for the special event. I'm going to show you guys what it looks like quickly. And if you want to have your own EQSL, you will have to write in a reception report if you're a listener. And let me just show you guys what they look like. So here we go. Just going to check where they are. I've put the cards. Where is the it's a PDF, I think. Trying to find. So this is. Wait, I don't see them. So this is this. Redesign QSL. I'm going to try to find them, and when I find them, I'll show you guys. Anyways, it's okay, here we go. This is okay. Oh, here they are, I think. Drafty QSLs. Here we go. So there's going to be a QSL card for me and a QSL card for the operations. So this is the draft QSL. This is what we're going to be sending out for the West Station, so VE6 in Alberta. This is the QSL card. So if you want to have one with all of the details that will be there, this is one of them. And on my side, the one for the station that I'll be operating, the Quebec card for here is this one. This one is for my station operating, VE2AQP. So these two cards can be yours. The EQSLs can be yours if you listen to our stations tomorrow. So if tomorrow you are hearing either of the stations or both stations, you can ask for a QSL card at info@cidxclub.ca. And there you will be able to get a QSL. If you're not a member of CIDX, you will also get a sample copy of the Messenger, the club bulletin. So once again, tomorrow, 18 to 22 UTC, there will be, of course, activation of VE2AQP for me here in Montreal, 14 to 40 kilohertz upper sideband, plus or minus, depending on the activity of the band. And there will be VE6 SWL that will be from Alberta, Lamont, Alberta. And that is also 18 to 22 UT. That will be around 14 to 65 kilohertz upper sideband. So if you're ham, why not contact us? And if you're a listener, why not send a reception report at info@cidxclub.ca. So it's going to be a lot of fun to operate these stations, special event stations tomorrow. I did a few adjustments to my antenna, to my infed antenna, so that we can hopefully make a lot of contacts tomorrow. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So this is going to be my first activation of a special event station on my part, so it's going to be fun. Okay, Bobby Burgess, WA5107 SWL in Morgan City, Louisiana. Nice to have you here. Robert Cross, nice to have you here. David's Radio Room from Central Georgia, KJ4CMY. Matt, MDK2 from Denver, Colorado, where it's hot. Robert Cross in Ireland, 27 Celsius in Ireland today, reached 2032 tomorrow. I know that in Europe, I've seen a few news items about how very, very hot some of you guys in Europe are going to whoops, I got distracted. So yeah, you guys are going to be having some really hot weather there for sure. So it's going to be take care, drink a lot, and try to stay cool. What else do we have? We have Choleko. Hey, Yvonne, nice to have you here. Visited Montreal a couple of days ago. I had your email too late, so I didn't really reply because it was too late, unfortunately. I hope you did find some cool restaurants. Scanned local TV, AM and FM, made some interesting recordings. Yeah, lots of stations here, so probably heard a lot of interesting stuff from Montreal. Hope you enjoyed your stay. N6RLS, nice to have you on board from Berkeley, California. We have Larry, N2ICZ, nice to have you here. We have Jay Watterson, 69, nice to have you on board. Rob, nice to have you on board. Still unsure how you will arrive so soon and chat so soon. I never seem to see Joel's video link until way after you all see it. Because you know what? It's posted on the Facebook group and different Facebook groups. So if you're on the groups, in the Facebook groups, you get it immediately. Or on Twitter also. I posted on the Twitter, my Twitter feed. So that's why people arrive early, because they already have a link from these places before the actual activation of the live show, because that's when it kicks in. When I click that start button for the show, this is when I the YouTube sends out the information that there's a live feed going on. So everybody that's there early is because it's from the Facebook groups or the Twitter feed. You can, if you're not on Facebook, just follow me on Twitter if you have a Twitter account. What else do we have? Red Cross picking up what I guess is amateurs on 7160. Archer's Autocrafter's Kitchen from Massachusetts. Nice to have you on board. And it says Farm Point Farms posted this morning a tour of the WTWW transmitter site. Oh, that's going to be interesting. Just see. Always fun to see these transmitter sites. I saw, what was it, a few months ago, the video that was posted from the Okeechobee transmitter site of WRMI, which is very impressive site. David in Barcelona, Spain. ¿Cómo está, mi amigo? Nice to have you on board. EA3IEK, EA4998URE. We have RJDA Dakota. Nice to have you on board from Wentzville, Missouri. WA0113SWL. Andy New, nice to have you here. Log 2112, nice to have you on board. It's got Spanish voice on 8514. Serge, nice to have you here from Switzerland. Heatwave in Switzerland, kicking back at a campfire in the backyard. Can only spare one eye and 1 ear on the stream this time. No problem. So Spanish voice and USB. Gary Pence, nice to have you here. KM5X in hot Dallas, Texas. Now, what do we have? Christian Marcouche, salut. Toujours un plaisir. Nice to have you here from North Bay, Ontario. Jed Crafter, nice to have you on board from Southern Maine, listening to the U.S. Air Force 8992 kilohertz upper sideband. There's Log 2112. He's from Nassau Bay, Texas. Chuck, nice to have you here from South Texas, N5 KVO. We have Thomas Kitts, nice to have you on board from North Michigan and the upper 70s. What else do we have? Up north, we will wait for life to start when it does. Our son is home from the Air Force. Cool. Keegan DeXter, nice to have you here from Northwest Arkansas. René Charbonnier, nice to have you on board from the Netherlands. PLF Radio, bonjour depuis Lyon en France. J'espère que tu vas bien. C'est toujours un plaisir de t'avoir parmi nous. Nice to have you here from France. Zigzag 11, nice to have you here from Indiana. Jim's Radio Check from Chicago. We have, let me check that out. Vault, nice to have you on board from Latvia. Yeah, Matt, August 17th. We're back August 17th. And that is going to be the return of the live shows for a new season. Thank you, Rob. Yeah, well, nothing special on the vacation. I'll be here, so just going to take it easy. Do a little radio and post what I listen to the Facebook group and so on. What else do we have? Mike WX50 for Northwest Arkansas. Nice to have you here. PLF Radio is the diploma on the we're near. Oh, that's my amateur radio license certificate. So it has to be in the room or in the place where the transmissions are happening. So this is my my amateur radio certificate, basically. DJW883, nice to have you here from Southeast Pennsylvania. Dimitri, nice to have you on board. Dan, nice to have you on board also. And 8WJZ. And pretty cool to have you here. And 6RLS wears some 1982 style clothes. Wow. What do I, I was wearing a t-shirt and jeans in 1982, so pretty much what I'm wearing now, almost. John Holland Newell, VE5JHN, nice to have you on board from Hot, Saskatchewan. We have Frank, nice to have you here from Holland. Jason, VE9JMC, nice to have you here. Tristan from Newfoundland, nice to have you on board. Jim's Radio Check, nice to have you here. What else do we have? Let's go down. John K6RXD, nice to have you here. Greg, nice to have you on board. Tom's Radio Room, it's Texan PL680. It was off frequency. I don't want the PL680. Yes, some of them are, but most of them are not. Apparently, from the latest versions, they're not. They're great little radios. They're off on AM mode, and that's interesting because when you're on single sideband, they're on frequency, which is weird. Jay Watterson says, Paul the Cat promised I wouldn't have to fill out the reception report. What else do we have? Michael, nice to have you on board from New Jersey. I lost my spot here. Just trying to get it back. Okay, there we go. Keegan DXer says his dad W9JEF is a ham, and that he plans to get his license sometime. Yeah, you should. You're going to have a lot of fun. Peter John Fetting, nice to have you on board. ZR6PCF from South Africa. Going to have some South Africa stuff soon. Got a couple of radio RSA QSL cards and audio clips that we'll probably play. Nice to have everybody here. John Beckham, nice to have you here from Northeast Florida. What else do we have? Yeah, the PL660 is a great radio. You're going to have a lot of fun. Francis Moore, nice to have you here. Jim from Rhode Island, nice to have you here. Bob Raymond, nice to have you here. We have Mike Water, 1958. Be listening tomorrow. Danny Shortwave Radio DX from Yonkers, New York. Nice to have you here. Dimitri, how can I get a QSL card from you? Well, I still need to actually check out and make I'm going to make 2 QSL. I'm going to make an EQSL. And I'm going to order 1,000 paper QSLs also. So we're going to check that out. I'll give the details eventually. Johnny Sorrentino, nice to have you here. Thank you so much. We'll enjoy taking it easy. That definitely. Michael, starting off with French roast, something stronger later on. Cheers. Cool. Pinef Radio, you're right. It's very hot in France. Some regions are experiencing huge wildfire, especially the regions with large forests. Just for the info, they are hundreds of kilometers from where I am. Yeah, I saw that. I saw it's not, we don't hear that very often that there's, forest fires in France. We usually hear the ones here. There's always some forest fires here in North America. There's a lot of forests. Here in Canada, we usually have a lot of forest fires in the summertime. And we hear also that, in the last few years, California has been hit really, really bad also with the fires. But we don't hear much about, forest fires or anything out in Europe in general. But I did see that about the forest fires. I think it was on the news. And, man, you guys are getting it. They were saying that you guys are typically getting temperatures that have never been recorded before. Since the beginning of taking measures, never temperatures reach that. So, it kind of tells us that the planet is definitely getting warmer. Here they were saying that for example, here in southern Quebec, they were saying that in the last 50 years, the number of heat waves in the province have increased. We have more heat waves, and we even have more heat waves later in the summer, and earlier also. So, they arrive in May instead of arriving in June, and they end in September rather than ending in August. So definitely something changed. What else do we have? Andre, nice to have you on board. Dimitri, you don't have I'm licensed. Yes, you're going to send a home address. It's for the special event station. It's an EQSL, so it's through email. You got to send a report to the info, to the address that will be info@cidxclub.ca. and you'll receive a EQSL by email. What else do we have? Sheeta, nice to have you on board from Belleville, Ontario, Canada. John Beckham, the fine people at Prentice sent me a brand new Prentice J401 with a new and improved volume control to replace my broken unit. Great customer service. Wow, that is cool, though. That is cool. Knowing that a company goes to that length. You know, it reminds me when I had my Radio Shack DX398. One of the things that happens most of the time, what do? Of course, we break the little stand to keep the radio at an angle. It happens on almost any radio at some point. I wrote, because it was made by St. Gian, I wrote St. Gian telling them, you know, where could I purchase a new stand? And they just asked me for my postal address, and they actually sent me 2 of them free of charge by mail. And I was like, wow, this is good service. They actually send it free. Wow. Robert Cross, I have a question. Last 2 nights, high pressure weather. Last 2 nights getting French radio stations on long wave. I normally get 2 radio stations on long wave. How'd that happen? Long wave is not that much affected in general by weather. It's much more affected by other means. It could be something about geomagnetic activity, unusual activity that could change the patterns of listening. It could also be simply that you had never noticed that maybe at this time of year, you hear that station more than other times of year. You know, it's easy to, when there's patterns like that, it's easy to sometimes hear something new and you're like, wow, how come it's happening? But not realizing that every year it was like that. It's just that you noticed this year for the first time that the station was there. But it could be conditions, or it could be some change on the transmitter side. It could be that the broadcaster has changed the pattern of its antenna or the power, or it could be something like that also. David P. Miller, nice to have you here from New Jersey. We have Don, nice to have you on board from Arizona, 107. That's too hot for me. Even 90 is too hot for me if I'm not at the beach. WF7I Homebrew, nice to have you on board from a hot sunny Virginia. We tried to look for you on 20 meters tomorrow. When internet will you be on? My end fed, my 60-foot end fed sloper that is in the backyard. That is what I've been using for my ham contacts. That's really what I'm going to be doing. And I've been making contacts with Europe, so I would, if conditions are good tomorrow, I should be out there. I should be heard quite widely out there. Nick Sharp managed to log VK4CAG from Australia. Cool. On FT8. Pretty cool. Nice to have you here from Southern England. What else? Art Dodd, nice to have you here. Art K2ADC. Nice to have everybody here. Neil Rigby from Nottingham, UK. John Beckham. Dimitri. What else do we have? Ian, nice to have you here from Manchester, UK. Bob says your Canadian ham license is more. Whoops, lost it here. Just go back a little bit. So here we go. So lost where I am. Here we go. Your Canadian ham license is more attractive than my U.S. license. Well, it's a nice little kind of diploma style with a red maple leaf on it. It's nice. It was quick. I got my ham license And I think it took 2 days. 2 days later, that was in the mail. 2 or 3 days. It was really, really quick. I was like, wow, okay, already. Andre says U.S. Air Force handball active now. Jim's Radio Check says CB bands open this afternoon. Darren Rogers, nice to have you here. We have Gary 24 Fan, nice to have you on board. 80 Fahrenheit, Northern Maine. Sheila asks if there's other ladies. Yeah, we have a few ladies. We've got a few ladies usually here, so sometimes we got a few. It depends on the nights and on the days, but we do have quite a few ladies that check in from time to time. Alan, nice to have you on board from a very toasty Northeast England. Kamikaze 76, nice to have you here from West Michigan. We have Radio. Each summer in the south of France, there are always been wildfires. This is not a new thing. No, I don't think it's a new thing. I'm pretty sure that with the forests across Europe, there must be wildfires also. But it's the first time I think we hear them talk about the ones in France. We don't usually hear what's happening in France much or in Europe on wildfires. Alex Lopez, nice to have you on board. Just a quick thank you for your videos. Very helpful for a new shortwave listener. Getting a lot of enjoyment from the hobby. Cool. Welcome aboard, my friend. James Binder, nice to have you here. Tristan, the summer weather here in Newfoundland was really cold down over the last week. Temperature goes down below 10 degrees most nights. Wow. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. We had some, the month of June here was rather cool. We didn't have any heat waves and temperatures were rather cool. And even the first half of July wasn't very hot. What was it? 2 days ago? What was it? Wednesday. So we had a live show Wednesday. I think it was Thursday evening. I was outside and I actually put my my hoodie on because I thought it was like, wow, we're almost mid-July and it's kind of cold. John Beckham, have you seen the new HCJB D368 portable MP3 player as DSP chip with analog bands? Yeah, I did. I did see that. Looks really nice. It's interesting how a lot of these radios are difficult or impossible to get here, or if you can get them here in Canada, they're super expensive. Dr. Sisop, nice to have you on board from Pennsylvania, in Georgia. Sorry, you got Pennsylvania in Georgia. Messed it up. So nice to have you here. So you got E-Skip from Allentown, Pennsylvania on 95.1. I know that one morning, Janice that I have contact with on Facebook sent me, I think it was one of the days this week, early morning, she sent me a little message saying, hey, I'm hearing Texas on, what was the frequency? I think it was on 91. I'm trying to remember. I just don't remember the exact frequency, but it was coming in for a few minutes. Didn't last long because I got that message and maybe 20 minutes after, and it was already gone. Keegan says, no luck for E-Skip's catches this week. Greg, Monday is going to be the 90, Tuesday 92 in Franklin, Wisconsin. Richard, nice to have you on board. WA2157SWL. I have a question. Would it be easier to buy a second MLA30 for a second radio or a multi-coupler? The multi-coupler has the advantage that if you buy one with several ports, what's cool is that you'll be able to hook up many radios at the same time easily with just one antenna outside. But it depends what you're going to buy. But like the multi-coupler I have is quite expensive. You actually could have for the same price 3 or 4 MLA30s. So I think it's up to you. If you don't mind having a second MLA30 out, installed. But like I said, a multi-coupler could be fun because if you have more than 2 radios at some point, you can use it in, like mine is 4 ports, so you can have up to 4 radios at the same time running, for sure. What else do we have? Paul, nice to have you here from Southwest Michigan. What else do we have? So Dr. Sisop says next AM test for USA Online will be Saturday, August 27. Bob got his first ham license in 1978. It took weeks to receive it. And it's so different today. I mean, if you're getting a ham license in Canada, it's you get, it's all free. There's no more fees for the license, anything. The only fees that you'll have is for passing the exam, and and of course if you follow a course. But if you the only other fee that you can have is if you make changes to your call sign, for example. Blind Picker, nice to have you here. Rob in Connecticut, W0RAB. And Dr. Sisop just renewed his license. Here in Canada, our license is good for lifetime. And lifetime for them is 125 years, which means if nobody tells anyone, my license is going to be valid probably way after I die. I'll be talking from the grave. Andre says 8992, very active in Europe. Storm Radios and Cats says CQ all the Xers from WRQC 947. John Beckham, Spain, transmitting from Madrid on 17855. David Webb, nice to have you here. Do we have? Alan says there's a danger to life warning for the heat in the UK early next week. In fact, it's been warm and dry here for a week or two now. It is a major concern for more fires taking hold. Hope things get better. What else do we have? What else do we have? Dr. Sisop, he's sleeping in the bedroom. He's having his nap. Usually it's the time I start the live show is like about an hour before it's time to go nap. So I don't know if you'll show up or not. Dr. Sisop in the US, $35 for license, 10 years. I guess here what they decided at some point is why start handling all of that? Just give it, when the person passes the test, just give it. It's and having no renewal. I wish there would be one change to that 125 years license. I wish that you had to just go online and every 10 years go online and just say, yeah, I'm keeping my license, for a very simple reason. Imagine all the call signs that will be used up with people that are dead. It would open up a lot of the call signs to make them available for everybody. I think that would have been a good decision, because at 125 years, there are going to be tons and tons of call signs that are, used, but from people that are dead, so they're not available to anyone. Don, Universal is thinking August 15th for the Ethon satellite radio. So we'll see how that goes. David just made a QSO with M0GIW through the ISS crossband repeater. Oh, wow. Pretty cool. I need to try that. You know what? I could. There's one is on the VHF. I'd like to try that. I wonder if just with a little Andy talkie, if I could trigger a repeater from a satellite. That'd be interesting to see. PLF Radio, I know why you're hearing about wildfires. The two big ones in the same region, south of Bordeaux, near Pila sand dunes, and the land for people are being evacuated. The area of these wildfires are close to the area of Paris. Yeah, probably one of the reasons. Well, they're also probably talking about it more because as they're talking about the really hot temperatures. You know. So what else do we have? Alan, lifetime license as long as you renew every 5 years in the UK. Huh. Rob wants to cook eggs and bacon outside on the road. John Beckham, I can remember back in the early days of CB radio, the FCC charged a fee for CB license. We had a fee for CB license. Is there was a license fee back until the license just went away in the early 80s. So we had there was a fee, and there were fees for. I remember my sister had to pay one in the 90s. It was like $40 for a few years. I don't remember how long the license lasted. But now I think they just don't care. It's like as long as you pass the test, here, get your license. Stop bothering us with that. Francis Moore, if you think it's hot in the UK, have a tour of India. Yeah, I know India sometimes has crazy heat waves. Liminal, you gotta have an automated solar-powered APRS beacon running from your headstone. Oh, that'd be nice. That'd be nice. Graveyard frequency taking on a new meaning. David says, speaking of talking from the grave, I hope you plan to have a rig or two buried with you. Imagine what the expedition that would be to get a QSO from the other side. I'll bring my Yisu FT450. David ISS crossband repeater. The uplink is 145990 and downlink 437 800. Pretty cool. Justin, I heard on World of Radio that there's a new small shortwave station out of Australia on 4835. Anyone picking it up? Yeah, I've seen people hear it, mostly people either in Australia or close to Australia in the Pacific. Doesn't seem to be very high power. 4835 has been mentioned as one of the frequencies I've seen. So I think it's called Shortwave Australia, something like that. So kind of nice to see that there's a new station out there. It's probably extremely difficult to get up here in. I don't know what's the schedule of the station. First of all, if it has or is on the air at the time when we could possibly get that here, and it must be really, really difficult. Today, Miss, nice to have you here. John K6RXD, there's a site where you can see who had your call sign before you. I should check old call books. Log 2112, there's 8 megahertz range. All sorts of things in there, from aeronautical to maritime stations, but also all sorts of unusual signals in the 8 megahertz. San Farrow is following along with the FRG 7 AirSpy HF Bliss Discovery and Tiny SA Spectrum Analyzer. So pretty cool. Pinafrezo, I don't understand why I have trouble to hear medium wave stations right now. For the info, medium wave stations are hundreds of kilometers away from me. I hear them at night usually, which is understandable. Yeah, well, medium wave stations in the daytime, they don't go much more than 100 miles from ground wave usually. So, but as for nighttime, usually it's possible that you're not hearing them when there are some geomagnetic storming going on. I've noticed here all the stations that I get at night from the US, if there's a minor to or bigger geomagnetic storm, often the medium wave band at night is super quiet. Jason, yes, you can get into the ISS repeater with a handheld. I'm going to have to try that. I'm really going to have to try that. Zenferos, yeah, there's a passive version which is less expensive. Definitely. But they're really good because they really separate each radio. So when you test, like somebody on one of my videos testing 3 or 4 radios said, no, you got it wrong. You can't test like that. Yeah, I can. With the multi-coupler, each radio has exactly the same signal on the same antenna, and there's no interaction in between. You just didn't understand it. And yeah, there's interaction. No, there's not. The multi-couplers are isolated. Each port is isolated. No radio is interacting with another radio on these. They're really, really nice. Hey, we do have another girl around. Laura, nice to have you here from Italy. As somebody was asking earlier, Sheila was asking if she was alone. Well, now you're not alone. Arthur's Alicrafter's Kitchen says, well, I wish I had saved the CB license I got in the late 70s. Not that I would need it now. Still cool to have. Can I remember the call sign? Byron, nice to have you on board. Says he's pretty new here. Cool. 9940 comes in later usually. Right now, so 5085 is on early apparently. Let's check it out here. And I'm not getting anything on 5085 here at all. And 9.940 is on. Yes, it is on right now. It is on. It is on. 9940. It's a pretty strong signal here right now, 9940. Byron got the MLA 30 Plus, very happy with it. So pretty cool. Pretty cool. What do we have? MK Youngs and 2QQE from Elmira, New York. Nice to have you here. We have Storm Radios and Cats, Part 15 AM on 1200 kilohertz. Marty Boy, nice to have you here. What else do we have? What else do we have? Jim Gordon, the UK Magazine radio user, did a detailed review of the new GGen DE119X. It's got DAB, FM with RDS, shortwave, and medium wave, Bluetooth too. I think it looks like a LED digital alarm clock. It's selling here at £140. Wow. John Beckham, what do you think would cause a portable radio to receive AM signals really weak with excessive white noise? A cold surge or joint on the circuit board from the ferrite antenna, possibly. And your other radios, it's the only radio that does that. So when you use another radio, the others are okay. Because if the other radios are okay, it's either internal noise from the receiver itself. I don't know what radio you're having that problem, from the circuit itself, the circuit board itself. Like, a lot of radios have excessive noise coming from like the digital display sometimes, or the LCD display. Apart from that, it could be different things. It could be the amplifier, the RF amp that doesn't work. Could be the RF amp that's kind of almost dead. It could be a problem with the ferret antenna. There's a lot of things that could be happening there. But if it's if it's the only radio that does it, definitely the radio has a problem. That's for sure. Storms raising cat Jill. Has anyone heard from Elizabeth lately? I haven't had an email from Elizabeth in a while now. So I hope she is all right. I haven't had any emails from her in a while, and I know that she had a few health problems. Hopefully, nothing bad has happened, for sure. The 9940 is WTWW in Lebanon, Tennessee, Mike WX50. It's they call themselves the voice of freedom. Byron, is there any way I'd be able to pick up the clock frequency from the US as I'm in UK? I'm running a Radio Shack DX394 and MLA 30 plus. You should be able to get it at times when propagation is good. I've on Kiwi SDRs that I've been tuning in Europe, I've often had heard the WWV frequencies punch in from time to time. Try it regularly, and at some point you'll hear it. But it is more of a challenge, especially since they're far west, also in Colorado. So it makes it a pretty good distance. But you should be able to hear them from time to time. What else do we have? Calvin 29 or 001. Nice to have you here. Thanks for sharing that. The DJN DAB 10110 PLF Radio. What else do we have? In harmony with Hurt. Nice to have you on board. Carol W7WXV. Voice of Freedom. Yep, WTWW. It's mostly for, they're using that frequency mostly for Ukraine. What else do we have? So I'm down the list. Before I start QSL showing, remember that tomorrow, since there's more people here now, first of all, two announcements. Remember that this is the last show before I'm taking a month off. We're going to be back on Wednesday, August the 17th. So put that on your calendar. Don't try to find me for the next 4 weeks. I'm not here. And the other thing is tomorrow, once again, the Canadian International DS Club is activating its amateur stations. We'll have a special event station for the 60th anniversary of the club. The west side will be operated from Lamont, Alberta, Canada, by Mickey Delmage from 18 to 22 UTC on 14265 kilohertz upper sideband. The call sign to look for: Victor Echo 6 Sierra Whiskey Lima VE6 SWL. The eastern part will be operated by me, and that is from here in Montreal with my Yisu FT450 and my end-fed sloper antenna. My call sign from 18 to 22 UTC tomorrow will be Victor Echo 2 Alpha Quebec Papa. And we will be operating around 14240 upper sideband. So look for both stations. Each stations is going to operate from 18 to 22 UTC and have its own 60th anniversary QSL card, EQSL, that you can get by, if you're a listener, if you're not a ham operator, you can listen to both stations, send a reception report, a little bit of details to info@cidxclub.ca. And of course, if you're a ham operator, do contact us. You'll be receiving the EQSL, and you will also receive a sample copy of the messenger if you're not a CIDX member. So that will be tomorrow. Special event stations. I'm going to be spending a few hours on the ham bands, trying to make contacts. So hope that we'll be able to make contacts with you guys. Okay, Lock 2112. Has anyone out here gotten anything from Japanese fisheries and facts? Morning gray line is my prime time for West signals. Never gets quiet. Yeah, there's been a few. I've seen regular posts of the those facts on HF. Remember that they are difficult. It's very low power, and conditions need to be really good for that to actually work up to North America. So I think you have to be patient. You got to be patient for sure. Larry into ICZ bought the Texan PL 380. Wanted an ultra portable, great little radio. Yeah, you've got a great little radio there for sure. For sure. So congratulations. Have fun with that. Warman Stool says, rather than buying a new shortwave receiver, would there be a cheap used ham transceiver model on eBay you might recommend to be used for listening only? The problem is in the word cheap used. Almost anything, unless you're very lucky. Unless you're very lucky. Most of them are so expensive for what it is that you would be better buying, unless because you want to have a transceiver. That's another story here. But you'd be better buying a portable radio, brand new. Most of the listings are just way too expensive for what they are. So that's the problem with what's listed. I think your best bet, if you are looking for something like that, would be to go to a ham fest. You have more chance of maybe getting something at a decent price in a ham fest than you'll be on eBay, unless you buy something that doesn't work and might have a small problem. But eBay has gotten way too expensive for anything that is used radios and transceivers these days. What else do we have? What else do we have? TB Ostrowski, nice to have you here from Medicine Hat, Alberta. So Greg thinking of buying the Texan PL 660. You'll have a great radio if you get that. That's for sure. Nope. Here in U.S. Canada, we have what's called HD radio, which is within the same frequency range and the stations that are already broadcasting. Like 2112. there's all sorts of things from if you look at, go and check out the EIBI space listing. There's all the utilities for Navtex and WeatherFax are all in there. You could see what you could be receiving. There's a lot of WeatherFax stations in Asia that are sending stuff, and there's some Navtex. There's all sorts of things. It's just that it's a little tough to get because these are much lower power. They're often very directional. Also, they'll send to a specific area, so it makes it even more difficult sometimes to actually get those transmissions. It's not like a high-powered China Radio International. You're trying to get a very, very weak, a couple of kilowatt station to the code. So, Kev Michael, I got KPH, Point Reyes, California, on 12786 USB with WeatherFax. Matt does get Japan Fishery at 7795 upper sideband in Colorado sometimes. Thank you, DJW 883 for the nice tip. To name is wonder if Finney Hams combined radio hobby with sound collecting. It was very popular at some point that people would do all of that together. That is something that a lot of hams and even shortwave listeners did back in the good old days when we would have envelopes full of stamps, for sure. Yep, you got to be patient. But it's all a question of the right time, listening at the right time and the right frequency. They're not super easy to get. I've never heard them here on the East Coast. Hey, Gabriel, nice to have you on board. Thank you very much. CVC 2606. What else do we have? Merci, Christian. Take care, my friend. Yeah, eBay is expensive for most cases. It used to be. You could find some really nice stuff at decent prices on eBay in the past, but now today, forget it. KC3EGE, Charles, nice to have you here. No problem, Worm. Alan says realistic DX394 are fairly cheap. Can get them for less than 100 pounds in the UK, but make sure you get a B model in the anti-chuff mod. Has been done. They aren't amazing, but they'll do a job. Dark Noise NL, nice to have you on board, my friend. PD3MIK is QRV on this channel and on 20 meters. Nice to have you here from the Netherlands. David, Joe, I'll try to catch you on 14240. It'll be your long wire against my quarter wave wire vertical. So I guess it'll be tough, but not impossible. If conditions are good, it could be very surprising. I've had a couple of contacts with the stations in Europe that were, really very basic setup. So it really depends on the conditions. And of course, the noise level. What I'm scared of tomorrow is, and that probably will be maybe a big chunk of the problem, is that I might be getting out, but my high noise floor here might actually make it difficult to hear the stations. And that's what I'm afraid. Nick Sharp, how do you store your EQSLs? I don't have a printer, but would like a PC program that stores them in JPEG or PDF. Um, in my case, what I do with the EQSLs is because I've started scanning my regular cards. A lot of them are actually scanned now, and scanning the regular cards. Of course, I'm keeping them in a folder on my computer that is by so in the I got a general folder called QSL cards. In it, I have folders for different countries. And in those different countries, if I have a lot of QSLs from maybe different stations, I'll make subfolders with the station name and their QSLs in there. But I also have them backed up on in the cloud, because that's also the other thing is I have them on my PC, but I'm keeping them in the cloud. EQSLs, when I get them, also what I do very often is create a folder in the email, like in Gmail, for example, and I store them in Gmail and keep them in the account there too. So that way, first of all, it's hard to lose, because whatever happens, you got a copy somewhere. Don't store just one copy, because you could lose it easily if something happens. And the that's pretty much the way. And I do have a printer, so I often will print my EQSLs and put them in my QSL book. But when you don't have a printer, that's the way I store them. I just put them in folders and name each subfolder with the country and sort of stations and so on. What else do we have? Does SDR Sharp have all the modes? Yeah, all the standard modes are there in the SDR Sharp: upper, lower sideband, FM, AM. Pretty much everything that's needed. Carol W7WXV a few weeks ago received the Kyoto News Agency out of Japan. Yeah, that one I've seen. I think I've seen it from you, actually. John Beckham, nice to have you here. T. Rostowski, you can call me Ted if you like, my real name. So Ted is way easier. Yeah, Ted will be perfect. I won't even try to pronounce the name here. John K6RXD, sorry for the late question. 14 to 40 kilohertz details. So, yep, tomorrow is going to be the Canadian International DX Club 60th Anniversary Club Activation call sign. So there will be two stations that are going to be celebrating 60 years of the CIDX Club. The west side, so in Alberta, in Lamont, Alberta, Mickey Dalmage will operate on 14265 kilohertz upper sideband, Victor Echo 6 Sierra Whiskey Lima. And I will be operating as Victor Echo 2 Alpha Quebec Papa, 14240, 18 to 22 UTC. And special EQSLs for the 60th anniversary will be available for this emails, the EQSLs. So club activation tomorrow, 18 to 22 UTC on 20 meters. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. First time that I try that. It'll be very, very interesting to see how many stations we contact. I'm sure the VE6 station, because in Lamont, Alberta, the setup is crazy. They will have a lot more contacts than I do. I'm sure of that. Low noise and crazy setup. I have a very basic station and high noise level, so it's going to be tougher for me to get the contacts. Dimitri, what kind of transmitter are you going to use to communicate? The Lamont, Alberta, they have. I don't know what radio they're going to be using for that. I think they're going to be using a Yaesu, a very modern Yaesu transceiver. I'll be operating here my Yaesu FD450. So basically, you guys are going to communicate either with that station in the hams, going to make contact with either that station in Alberta or here in my station here in Montreal. We're not going to be communicating together. I'm not going to talk to the Alberta station. This is two different stations that operate a special event where hams are going to be able to make contacts with us. The name is, I've used eBay to buy things I simply couldn't get anywhere else, but with the exception of buying bags of discarded LEDs from China, never got any good deals. I used to have some good deals. I got a few good deals in the past, like in the early 2000s. But today it's kind of difficult. Crafter, agree with you, eBay. Since finding my CC Radio 2E on Facebook Marketplace for $20, I find myself checking that more often than eBay now. Yeah. Local, like, for example, one of the places I've seen a lot of good deals was any local, sites where people advertise stuff like Kijiji or, what's the other place? Craigslist, where people will actually sell stuff online from local areas. That is where I've seen most of the deals in general. I've seen a lot of radios, shortwave radios, over time go by here and sold by people here in Montreal or in southern Quebec at prices that are much more decent than what you see on eBay. Joe's Radio Check sees that the the prices of radios have gone up quite a bit. Chris, nice to have you here from Tulsa, Oklahoma. We'll definitely try to get both special event stations tomorrow. KC5 IIE. Cool. Hope to speak to some of you. It will be a lot of fun. It'll be a lot of fun. We'll see. Hopefully, maybe David will be able to do something. Paul Nardelli, I easily talk to Europe from New York City when conditions are there on 27.3 at 5. Just using a mag mount on my air conditioner, using under 100 watts. Richard, CHU Canada is special to listen to because my late cousin and I tuned it in together in 1968. That was when I got hooked to shortwave. Thank you for all of your help. Enjoy your vacation. Thank you so much. Check it out. Yeah, thrift stores and charity places are places you might find some really good deals for radios also. For sure. 0-100, nice to have you here. KD2ANN, overslept during the afternoon nap. I never take naps in the afternoon. I feel like all lost after when I wake up. I feel like I'm on another planet or something. Looking in the Xer, got a Zenith Transoceanic R7002 from 1981 at a thrift store for $40. Wow. Cool, Dark Noise NL. Hope to get some of you on the contacts. Will be fun. No, John, the reason I'm not strict, I got asked a lot of people saying, hey, it'd be fun if you streamed live event station. The reason I'm not is because it's in the kitchen. I'll be on the kitchen table. It makes it kind of a little difficult, and I don't want to have to deal with checking if the stream works and already, do contacts in it. I'll already probably have my hands full with just making contacts. So, what else do we have? Danamus has been thinking about turning off all the power in the house and hooking up my log antenna to a laptop to see how many noise sources are in my house frankly speaking, still has his Yacht Boy 400. That's a great little radio, honestly. Great little radio. Thank you, Serge, for the tip. Much appreciated. TV Radio 72. Nice to have you here from New Jersey. Been using a Stixon PL330. Very good receiver so far. It's an amazing little radio. Definitely. 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 Well, spammers are everywhere, but you just got to be careful. It's easy to be careful and know that you're buying from a correct guy. So you just got to do your homework. It's like eBay. There are spammers everywhere, but you can just do your homework, make sure that what you have is correct, and see it by yourself. Buy it from a local guy and see it for yourself. Carry Pence, can you use loops on the DX side if your noise has a directional quality, or is it all around? Here it's pretty much all around the same. Pretty much. But if radio is the small external long wave, medium wave antenna for the Texan PL368, good antenna. Yeah, it does a decent job at receiving medium wave and long wave stations. Yes, definitely. It's a nice little loop. Works well. Bob, thank you very much for the nice tip. Dimitri says we'll probably print it out, put it on my desk. Gary, is your noise from one direction to no loud or noise? It's really all around me. Here the noise is equal almost everywhere. It doesn't come from the home here or a close neighbor. It seems to be some really, it's very weird because when we have power outages here, what happens in the power outage, I always hope that the power outage is going to give me, zero noise. The way that it seems everything is done here and how the power goes through the different streets is that very often if there is a power outage here, the neighbors on the backyard on the other side still have power. And basically, when I have a power outage on the street here, the noise is really still there and as strong as if the power was on. So it tells me that it doesn't come from here, since when there's no power on the street, it still has the noise level is still there. It seems to come from somewhere else and from actually far away enough that it's almost impossible or difficult to pinpoint, actually. So, yeah, the Ethon Satellite Radio Fund is going well, Alan. The only thing that will be is to try to find a place that will sell one to Canada, because right now nobody sells one to Canada. Even Ethon doesn't even show it on its own Canadian page. And when you go to the US Ethon website, the only choice for shipping is in the US state. So it's we're going to wait until at some point I can get it from somewhere. Yeah, I do have some experience streaming from the kitchen, David. Absolutely. It did happen in the past. But I don't want to have to deal with streaming at the same time as I'm doing the special event. Maybe because this isn't going to be the only special event. There's this one on the 31st of July. I'll be on 40 meters doing it again. And there's going to be activation in August and September and probably through the rest of the year, some activations here and there at the special event station. I'll arrange at some point to actually do a stream from the special event station for sure. But yes, I do have You are very right there. PR4470. Nice to have you here from Dallas, Texas. Thank you, Al, for the vacation stuff. What else do we have? 58. John Beckham says, how can I donate to you in the live shortwave radio stream? So do you have, so here you have, of course, the, if you look at the bottom of the chat, if you want to try that, you have a way to donate with the super chat, and there's a big dollar sign. You should be able to see and donate there. The other thing you can do, if you have a PayPal, and some of you have asked that the other day, you can actually send a PayPal donation. What you could do is just go to PayPal and I'll just say that you want to send some money to officialshortwaveradio@gmail.com, that I put here. So officialshortwaveradio@gmail.com. And there I will receive an email that's going to say, somebody's sending you some money through PayPal. So you can, that's another way. For the rest, it's a little difficult to by mail checks and stuff like that. It's very difficult here. So it's either to do that with the super chat here, or you can, if you have a PayPal, like I said, you can do it through PayPal. What happened to JT65? All of these modes are still there. BPSK. You just got to be looking for them on their proper frequencies. You will hear some JT65. You will hear some BPSK. A lot of people on JT65 moved to FT8 because it was more efficient. But BPSK, PSK31, stuff like that, all works actually. Billy No Mates, do you still use RDP to remote into your SDR play? Just watch one of your videos from 2019. I haven't done it in a long time. I had set that up back then because I wanted to have the possibility to tune around the SDR play when I'm outside with the laptop, for example. But I haven't done it in a long time. I'm actually one of the main reasons I haven't done it in a while is because I have new PCs doing it. So I haven't set up the remote desktop to work yet because I didn't feel like I needed it. André Thomas, yes. What else do we have? King and DX are watching the show from the kitchen. Yeah. I think JT65 was mostly people moved on to FT8, but BPSK, PSK31, all of that is still valid. It's still valid. I get PSK31 regularly. I get also some Olivia on the amateur bands regularly. For sure. What else do we have? Anybody in the UK getting 9670 AM? It should be, what is it, channel 292, I believe. Jeff Williams from Cornwall. Mike, WX50, thank you so much for the donation. Greg, your Kenwood 5000 shortwave receiver is cool. That costs a lot of money. Yeah, I got it for, the story with the Kenwood is I got it for a, so when I started, I had a DX100. I moved to the realistic DX302 and wanted to have an high-end radio. The Kenwood R5000 was the one I wanted. But it was, back in 1989, it was $1,350 Canadian. Plus, you needed to have the extra filter fitted in for AM because the one that comes with the radio is rather crappy. So that pumped up the price to 1,600 Canadian dollars. And I was working minimum wage, which is not, it's gonna take a long time on minimum wage with paying all the bills to actually buy a radio like that. It was like I didn't really have that a lot of money, but I was slowly getting there. And what happened is my brother actually, it's not even me. My brother looked at the classified ads in the newspaper, and he knew about a Kenwood R5000, and he said, "Hey, there's a guy not very far from here that's selling his Kenwood R5000 and asking $900 for it." So I look at the ad and it says 900 and it includes the AM filter. So I'm like, wow, this is $700 less. That's and I had the money. So I told my brother, I said, you want to come with me? We're going to take a walk and go see the radio. So we called the guy and we went to see the radio. And the guy was in his garage doing some work on a motorcycle or something, I remember. And Kenwood was there on the table and the workbench. I turned it on, started tuning around. We clipped a little piece of wire just so I can actually try it. And tuned around. It was working really, really, really well. And 9670, guys, is channel 292 out of Europe, out of Germany. Channel 292 is in Germany. 9670 is channel 292. They have different programs on the air from different, all sorts of different things. But that's channel 292, I'm pretty sure. So, anyways, I kind of bluffed because it was 900. I had 900 with me. I kind of bluffed and I said, well, I got 800. If you want it, I got 800 with me. I can buy it now. And he said, okay, for 800. So I came back home that night with the Kenwood R5000 for 800, which meant that I saved, it was half the price of, and it was brand new. The guy had his sales receipt from Radio Lorenz, and the radio had been purchased 6 months before. The filter was not even in the radio. He had not installed it, anything. That radio was totally unused. He turned it on a couple of times. I think he bought it thinking that maybe it was something else. I don't know. But definitely didn't want it. And he had the sales receipt, everything. So it was only 6 months old. So I had an actually great price at that at $800, and that was my main radio for a long, long time. Cool, John. No problem. What else do we have? Dr. Sisab, that new Ethon radio has Sirius XM satellite radio, or is it? I heard no. The original one did. The original one did. The E1 XM was Sirius XM satellite radio, also, which was an extra that you had to purchase. It was not. I think it was not with it. There's kind of an extra to purchase. Of course, you had to have the radio, the Sirius XM subscription, but not the new. The new one doesn't have that. I don't think so. David, so whenever I've had a power outage here, I'm basically left with the noise that's not from my Q2H, basically dropped from S9 to S5 on 40 meters, which already does improve things quite a bit. Yeah, for me to have low noise, we have to have a really big power outage. It has to be more than just the street here. It has to be everybody. Then my power outage goes down. Then my noise floor goes down, sorry. TV Ostrowski says, Ted says, it seems to me that the trend for portables has gotten smaller and better quality. I have Greenwich Satellite 800 that is so-called portable, and it's heavy enough to tug your elbow socket apart. Yeah, that's a big radio, definitely. Definitely. What else do we have? George from Mexico. Nice to have you here. Calif Radio, we're sharing a number station, F06 at 2130. What else do we have? Paul in Vermont, nice to have you on board. Been restraining my 20-meter dipole. A tree limb fell on it July 3rd. Wow. Hope you get that fixed. Marvin Motz, nice to have you here from the Japan Islands. So thanks, guys, for the donations, by the way. It's really appreciated. And we are going to, I'm down in the chat. Let's check out a little bit of QSLs, guys. What about it? Let's check out a little bit of QSL. I'm just going to do a little, take this, put it here, and do a little space for the laptop here so that I can actually still see the chat room, but still be able to do a little more with the computer here. So it's nice to have all of you here. Yep, it is channel 292, 9670. Okay, a little bit of QSL look here. How about it? Check it out. Take care, Serge. Thank you for the donations, and see you in maybe tomorrow. Maybe you'll be able to catch me tomorrow, and of course, see you in August. Thank you so much for being here from Switzerland. Take care, my friend. Okay. A couple of QSLs here. This is going to bring back memories for you guys. Let's see here. What do we have here? We have some really nice QSL cards from a station that a lot of us miss. Radio Australia. Look at that, guys. Look at that. Radio Australia. Pretty nice cards here. And of course, the back of the card. There's the back of the cards. This is the back of the cards. Oops, sorry. Some really nice cards here. And another one here. So Radio Australia, that we do miss a lot. Radio Australia is really, really. If I had to look at what are some of the stations that I miss the most, Radio Australia is definitely one of those. And we can have a little listen here, Australia. And this one here. Let's have a little listen to something Australia.
Across Asia and the Pacific, you're listening to Radio Australia.
Radio Australia, 24 hours a day in English and also in Chinese,
这里是澳洲广播电台 Radio Australia。
Indonesian, saudara sedang mendengarkan siaran dari Radio Australia, Khmer,
Messages late bahasa Australia, Nambang Pasifik.
Pidgin,
Welcome now along Focusing Broadcast to Kamlong Radio Australia
and Vietnamese.
Quý vị đang nghe chương trình của Đài Phát thanh Úc Châu.
For tuning and program guides, go to abc.net.au/ra.
Radio Australia is now on relay to 180 stations in Asia and the Pacific. Our English service is now heard live 24 hours a day in Suva on 92.6 FM.
Yeah, that intro is very, very indicative of Radio Australia. That brings me back. That definitely brings me back. So, Radio Australia, long gone, but not forgotten. That's for sure. And I'm happy to have these QSL. I got more here. Some of the best QSL cards. Here's 4 more from Radio Australia. Look at that, guys. Look at these cards. Radio Australia, once again. Really nice cards. Look at that. Beautiful cards. They had some of the most beautiful cards of radio stations I've had. This is really, really nice. More here. Radio Australia. Radio Australia. I had a lot of QSLs from Australia. Radio Australia was definitely one that I don't know if I had to say which station in the world I have the most QSLs from. Radio Australia probably would be up there in the with probably HCJB and the number of QSL cards that I have from them. And this is nice to have, but definitely it is sad to see that they have gone. I just want to check out something here. China Radio International is via Cuba in the evenings here for 97.90, I believe. Let me just check the schedule here. I think it's a 01 UT, if I'm not mistaken. 01001. Try to get something here. Okay, 01 China Radio. Yeah, Eastern North America from Cuba, 01 to 02 UTC via Cuba, 9580 kilohertz. That's the one that I hear regularly. China Radio International from Cuba, 9580. Audio sometimes isn't very, very good on it. That's one of the things that you get to know. So Radio Australia, guys, hey, that is something to almost want to cry. What do we have? Let me just go down the chat and we'll continue with some of the QSL cards here. So what do we have? Let me check it out here. Okay, nice QSLs. Radio Australia was always an amazing station to pick up and listen to many years ago, indeed. Yeah, beautiful QSL cards. Michael, very nice cards. Francis Moore, thanks for the donations. I'll have some beers. Absolutely. Thank you so much. Yeah, good old Waltzing Matilda. Pretty cool. So Matt says, can barely stand to hear the Radio Australia Waltzing Matilda interval, because the only time I heard it live was when they signed off for the last time. Ah, man. The good old days. Yes, Larry. Artist Ali Crafter's Kitchen says Radio Australia QSL had some of the best photography and artwork. One of my prized QSLs is one of Radio Australia. My late father got in the 1950s on the Ali Crafter's SX42 I have today. Wow. Yeah, when they were on 19 megahertz. Still remember. Oh, man. 21. Take care, Tristan. 21740 was the first time I heard them, and one of the frequencies that I heard them all the time in the summer was 17795. Radio Australia ended on January 2017. So the last shortwave transmission was in January of 2017, which is 5 years ago already. Time flies, eh? Time sure flies, I can tell you that. Pretty crazy. John Beckham, Australia, has also put out lots of great music, from the Little River Band to Icehouse and more. My WX50 at Radio some Australia domestic stations also. I love Radio Australia. Like 21 tell if I got a CD set of all the interval signals also yesterday and today with Glenn Hauser and Ian McFarlane. What else do we have? What else do we have? A WWV bumper sticker. That's cool, Keegan DXer. I got a Radio Prague fridge magnet on my fridge in the back. George Wall, thanks. I'll try again today. I've seen some reports to CRI, but haven't received an answer. Yeah, check it out. Check it out. They do have. Look at the EIBI space schedules. They're all there. Just look at the China radio schedules for Europe and North America. They are to Europe, I think, on 7350 at 0 UT. I've seen quite a few broadcasts, so you should be able to hear them. Richard Wagner, nice to have you here. Hope it gets better. Alan, I replayed Radio North Sea International jingle for my dad. He loved hearing the intro from them again after all of these years. Tony, greetings from Ireland. Have you heard of the Wind Radio WRG 69DDCE Excelsior Ultra SDR radio? If so, will you be reviewing it? Enjoy the time off you'll deserved. Yeah, I've seen and read a little bit about it. I think I've read about it in what is it in Spectrum Monitor, I think. We'll see. These are very expensive, so and the budget for new radios isn't that high. So we're gonna see. We're gonna see what we're gonna do with that, Tony. As we have MDK2, I've got a video on my YouTube channel of the last audio I could copy for Radio Australia. Because it was winter here, the signal was lost after the sunset. So I had to find an online SDR for the end. Oh, man. What else do we have? Ted says have QSLs from Radio Moscow before Voice of Russia, and even checked before it became Radio Prague. QSLs are historic cards of yesteryear. Yes, they definitely are. They definitely are from. They definitely are a piece of history, honestly. Yeah, 9940 Jim's radio check is WTWW on that frequency. Yes, PLF Radio, I do have some QSL cards. I don't know if I can find them easily, but I have maybe I don't know, maybe 40 or 50 cards from ham radio operators. Actually, I asked late for that. What I would do for ham radio operators back in the day is I would go to QRZ.com and you could see their emails. Now, if you're not a ham operator, you can't see the emails anymore. Maybe somebody somewhere getting spam, or we're getting reports from shortwave listeners, and we're kind of mad. What I would do is back then I would listen to hams, and when I'd hear hams from Europe and so on, I would send them an email, but I would never ask for a card. I would always send an email saying, "Hey, I heard your station, blah blah blah," but I would not ask for a card, but I would leave my postal address in the email. So if they wish to send it, cool. And if they didn't want to send it, I'm not going to bother them about getting a card. I know how expensive getting a card in the mail is. And most hams replied back really nice, saying, "Oh, this is so cool that you heard me on your radio, and you should think about becoming a ham," and so on. But some of them actually send me a card through mail. I would let them choose if they want to do so or not. And a lot of them were nice enough that they would send me cards in mail. If I would have been more active and done more, I would have had probably hundreds and hundreds of amateur radio cards over the years. But I've got some from European hams. I got a few American hams. I got some from Japan. I got quite a few of them throughout my collection here. So it's one of those things that it's pretty cool. So what else? We've got cards here from on the same here. Of course, it's another station that was very popular back in the day. HCJB in Quito, Ecuador. These are nice cards. HCJB. HCJB. They had teams. They had themes every year. If you guys remember, they had cards for all sorts of events every year. They would have a theme. I remember when I got into Shortwave in 1982. The year after that, when I started QSLing, really a lot, was the international telecommunications year, and I got quite a few from HCJB from that time with that theme. But I got a lot of QSLs from here quickly for HCJB, a little more. Let me just check out what I've got here. Here we go. Here's some more. So this is these are all HCJB cards. Here it goes. These were the I think the indigenous people of Ecuador, something like that. That was the theme that year. And this one was the transportation modes of that year, which taxis, trains, buses, and stuff. So these are nice cards from the past. Let me just check out here anything else of HCJB that I can quickly show. I got HCJB is one of the stations I got the most cards from, probably. Like I was saying, Australia was up there. HCJB was up there. Nope. Can't get. There's probably some in some other book. But anyways, you just seen a few cards from HCJB. HCJB was one of the stations a lot of us liked. If you guys remember, there was a lot of stuff about the the programs that were kind of interesting. But it was a religious paper. It was a religious station. In reality, they were trying to get us into their way of thinking. But it was nice that they had. It wasn't a shove it in your face kind of station. That's what I hate today. Is religious stations today are shove it in your face religion. It's heavy and it's there and it's just like Brother Stare and so on. At least these stations kind of they did it in a subtle way. Yes, they were trying to brainwash us in a way, but it was subtle, and it was we have other stuff you can listen to. It's not only religious stuff. And of course, one of the most popular shows was DX Party Line. If you guys remember the DX Party Line on HCJB, was one of the most popular shows. Let's see here. Let's get the I don't know if we have the beginning of the show here. The X Party Line from December 7th, 1976, 02 UTC, 0230 UT on HCJB 6095 kilohertz. Let's check that out and see. There we go. You guys remember that?
This is DX Party Line. Listen in with thousands of other DXers and shortwave listeners to the latest DX tips and information from Radio HCJB. Expand your horizons. Listen to the whole world on shortwave radio. I'm your host, Al Hedge, with the information you need for good DXing.
That was my Saturday night listening.
I have Don Hastings, one of our staff engineers, here on DX Party Line this afternoon. Don, tell us a little bit about the work you're involved in here at HCJB.
Well, I'm working on antenna projects here at HCJB. I have been for the last, almost 3 years that I've been here on a number of different antennas. The current one that I'm working on is called a steerable antenna.
Our DX
So the DX Party Line, that definitely was a show that a lot of us remember from the days of HCJB. As a teenager, when I did shortwave in the 80s, that was my Saturday night. My lineup of Saturday night on HCJB, I remember there was two things that I listened to. Before DX Party Line, they had the musical mailbag, if you guys remember, with some beautiful Ecuadorian music. So they had musical mailbag, and I remember they always describing when they're eating cookies and cakes and whatever, and just like, listening in and wishing that I'd be there to be able to taste whatever they're trying out in the studio they're eating. And so musical mailbag was one. They were reading email. They were reading mail from people everywhere. Had some beautiful music also. And then that would go into the DX Party Line, which was one of my favorite DX shows back. That was my Saturday night lineup. And I remember one of the frequencies, two frequencies that I remember very well from ACJB, 15155 in the 19-meter band and 9745 in the 31-meter band. So that was pretty cool. That was pretty cool. I always wondered, HCJB left because what happened with HCJB, they had a new airport in Quito that was being constructed, if I remember well. And by the way, log 2112, Radio Kiev is still on the air through WRMI. I heard it like last week. If you look at the WRMI schedule, you'll see that it shows up a couple of times every day on the schedules. So they had to build a new airport, and the antennas at PFO site were in the way for the approach to the state for the planes. So they asked them to move the antennas. They had to move the antennas, and eventually all things changed, and eventually they didn't have to do it anymore. But it was too late. The station had stopped broadcasting on shortwave from what they were doing. I've always wondered if they had not, if they didn't have to do so, would they have stayed on the air longer? I'm not so sure, because one of the things that they had to do if they wanted to stay on the air was, they had to build a new transmitter site. That was a lot of money, and I think that was the main decision of, okay, should we build, a new transmitter site now with the state of shortwave? And I think they looked at the money involved and they said, you know what? No, I don't think that's a good idea. I don't think it's something that we should do. So HCJB eventually stopped broadcasting, and they stopped on, what is it, May of 2011, something like that. So they left shortwave. Let's just check it out here. The official date of actually, it's not true that they ended shortwave, because they still have 6050 kilohertz, but I'm mostly meaning that the end of the programming ended in I think it's 2011. You can still hear, by the way, HCJB on 6050 kilohertz. One thing that I'm extremely curious is, if you'd send a reception report to 6050 to HCJB in Quito, Ecuador, would they still QSL? I don't know. I'm not sure they would QSL. So anyways, I think part of the problem that they left was they had to build a transmitter site and dismantle the PFO site, and they thought that's too much money, so let's end our shortwave broadcasts to the world, pretty much. And and after that, a few years later, all things changed, and they didn't have to do that anymore. They didn't have to dismantle anything. But the decision was already there. Definitely, there must be also in that decision, they probably looked at, well, the dwindling number of letters they were getting, and how many people exactly are we reaching with this, and is it still worth it to be out there? But I mean, they were a major broadcaster at some point. That was crazy. It was really, really crazy. Let me just go to the chat a little bit more. So here we go. John Beckham used to truly enjoy listening to HCJB, the voice of the Andes. They had a great mailbag show as well. Yep. Like 2012 got a cool one for Voice of Turkey. Alan, take care, my friend. Stay safe, and see you in August 17th. Matt, there's a website called eqsl.cc. Yep. If you register, you can send and receive EQSLs. Absolutely. There are EQSLs for BT radio. Is that a bus on a train track? It's I think it's a train, but it looks like a bus. But I think it's a train. It's the way the train was designed. It's kind of a train bus thing, definitely. Greg, QSL cars are so awesome. John Beckham wallpaper is so cool to have along with your favorite shortwave radio. Adolf, nice to have you here. I have a friend who worked at a ham station in Johnstown. He receives his QSL card the day the murder-suicide happened. Wow, crazy. Division 17, going on vacation to the south coast of Maine. When I bring my shortwave to the beach, I get amazing stuff. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Nick Sharp, CIDX special event station tomorrow. How do shortwave listeners QSL them? Would you prefer short audio files or a standard reception report with stations being worked? Just a standard reception report. So for the special event station, just send a quick message with time, frequency, the time, date, and frequency that you heard us, and a few details if you have some stations that you heard also. Just mention you worked this or that station at that time. Just a quick report. And you send it to info@cidxclub.ca. And there are two cards. One for my station, which will be Victor Echo 2 Alpha Quebec Papa. And there's the card for VE6SWL for the West. So if you hear both, two EQSLs that are different from the call sign. And so don't hesitate to write in and send an email saying you heard us, for sure. Take care, Jet Crafter. Thank you for the, I'll take it easy. Frank, correct, and HCJB had a good DX program. Ted says, like the Christian Science Monitor had secular news service, which was top notch. Yeah, I remember those, Christian Science Monitor. I do remember. Okay, Michael, HCJB on 690 and 6090 Quito, Ecuador, my favorites. I was a member of the DX Club and the Index member. I was also part of the Index membership too. Others out of Crafter's Kitchen, HCJB was classy evangelism. They did it tastefully and clearly loved their audience with the QSLs they sent. John Beckham, overall, I believe that Radio Prague was a very popular shortwave broadcast back in the day. Bob says, I missed Radio Canada Shortwave Club with Pip Duke on Saturday mornings in 1968, and their monthly bulletins mailed to my QTH was member 1277. My certificate dated June 18, 1968 is still on my shack wall. Wow. Yeah, DX Party Line, popular on Saturday nights, John. Yeah, saludos amigos. Remember that? Saludos amigos. There was something about HCJB that I still remember. When I got HCJB for the first time, which was probably in the first days or weeks of my shortwave radio listening, and when I heard HCJB and I heard Quito, Ecuador, it sounded so exotic. There was something about it that I like, wow, Ecuador, that's so. And the Ecuador, if there is one thing, and you can actually still hear that sometimes and still make it sound and feel like you're listening in the past. The Ecuadorian music is so beautiful and so unique. And if you listen to 6050 at night, it's often packs an okay signal in North America. From time to time, you'll get into a show that has some Ecuadorian music, and you'll be transported back to the day. Even the time pips, if you guys remember, the time pips were kind of very unique to HCJB. And when you listen to 6050 kilohertz, they still have the exact time pips at the top of the hour. Brings you back, I can tell you that. What else do we have? Francis Morifather's shed roof was wallpapered with cards from more or less every country in the world. A few left, but hundreds chucked away when my dad died. I was too young to not realize their value. Yeah. they're mostly, sentimental because I mean, QSL card is unique to you and unique to your own listening passion. When I see people selling QSL cards and people buying them on eBay, for example, there's something that is not um, it's not the same. A QSL card from somebody else doesn't appeal to me. It it's a card that from somebody else. It's not, I got a card that I received with my radio, which is way different. Yeah, Radio Vilnius. Kim Michael, shortwave merry-go-round on Swiss Radio International. Yep, absolutely. Whereas Alec Crafter used to leave one radio, usually my RF 2200 on 9745, so I could flip on HCJB by just powering it up. Mike WS50, Radio Vilnius, Radio Kiev weren't the hardcore communist propaganda type stations and did a lot of cultural shows that were interesting. It's like Radio Moscow. It wasn't heavy, like Radio Tirana. That's probably the best example of how completely nuts you can be. Radio Tirana was an example. But, a lot of stations like Radio Moscow, Radio Vilnius, Radio Kiev, even Radio Berlin International, they were kind of in the relaxed talk of communism and whatever. It wasn't heavy propaganda. There were propaganda definitely in there everywhere, but it wasn't, just that. It was, let's talk about cultural stuff and music, and it was more of a relaxed thing. Radio Tirana was like, whoa. Radio Peking, yep. Radio Peking, which became Radio Beijing, which became China Radio International. Yeah, the solar flux is high, pretty high. There's a couple of really big sunspots. So hopefully, if conditions hold up, I hope tomorrow is going to be really, really great. The last thing I want tomorrow is a geomagnetic storm while we're doing the contacts. Yeah, actually, Radio Peking and Radio Beijing were quite heavy in there also. Yeah. Yeah, there's HCJB broadcasting from Germany. Absolutely, there's that, and of course there's 6050, which is available, but it's not what it used to be. Radio Difusora Nacional. Okay, I lost the space. The Nicaragua, RJ Dakota. Wow. I don't think I've ever heard Nicaragua on the air. Merci, Francis. Thank you very much. Brian Penny from Cape Cod, Massachusetts. Yes, me, Paul, and Mignon will enjoy a nice vacation on the French Riviera. Riviera. By the way, Brian, I got your cat newsletter yesterday. I was about to write in, so thanks again for sending me that. It's really interesting. Love the reading. Thanks so much. What else do we have? Mike WX50, a restaurant that has Ecuadorian food in Fayetteville. Can enjoy my keto diet now. John K6RXD, the multipath phasing sound is a feature, not a bug for me. I love the way it makes everything sound for some reason exotic, especially music. There's something extra about that fading and that like you say, the fact that the propagation kind of distorts slightly the way the music and everything sounds. I remember hearing Radio Moscow interval signal sometimes when geomagnetic storms were happening or being close, with that little fluttery propagation in it. It actually added a almost an eerie sound to the Radio Moscow broadcast. So, NHK Radio Japan, they had also I got a lot of QSLs. They had some amazingly beautiful QSLs. I still remember. RJD Dakota used to hear music from Radio Tahiti back in the 70s and 80s. Yep. Nick Sharp, VE6 SWL QSL card being sold on eBay. V6 SWL Medicine Hat, Alberta. Wow. An old. So Jerry Farmer, he had that call sign back in the 60s. Wow. Amazing. Yeah, the two Bobs on Swiss Radio International. Yep, Radio Moscow had good jazz. They had a lot of interesting programming there. What else do we have? Matt says, I can see collecting QSL cards for historic value or personal value if you find one from a celebrity ham like Joe Walsh. Yeah. Mike logged Swiss Radio International in 81 on 21570 with Swiss merry-go-round. Wow. Pretty crazy. Radio RSA. Yep, Radio RSA. Let's check out Radio RSA. Actually, I have that special card right there. And here's a Radio RSA. Talking of Radio RSA. Here we go. 4 cards from Radio RSA here. And one of them is very special in that for me. So let's show the other cards first. So Radio RSA from South Africa with the beautiful zebras. Radio RSA. There's another one here. And Radio RSA. And Radio RSA. But this one is special. Very special. This is one, and it's the only card I have that has, if you look at the frequency here, 25790. 25790. The only QSL I have from an 11 meter frequency. And so that was heard on August 13th, 1983, 13 hours GMT, 25790. So that one, I mean, they're all beautiful and all great, but that one with 25790 has an extra special gift to it. There's something about it that, I mean, it's the only QSL I have a station on 11 meters. It used to come in well, too. 25790, I remember, was coming in quite well in general. So I think we should, for the occasion, go here. And, of course, a very well-known interval signal that was actually very beautiful. I always liked Radio RSA interval signal. From, here we go. So, Radio RSA. This is from 1980. Interval signal with identification. Here we go. Oh, that's a different one. What is that? I never heard that. Was that a older interval signal? Yeah, they had an older interval signal. I didn't know that. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that. I never heard this one. So radio RSA. Let's try this one here. Here we go. Or it was a different station, maybe. I see that there's a difference. That's the one that everybody knows. That for me was also very, very exotic. Okay, so that was a local service of the SABC.
Radio RSA.
Okay.
The voice of South Africa from Johannesburg.
This intro is from 1977. And that brings me back in time a lot. Nostalgia talking. Yeah.
Six hours, Greenwich Mean Time. 8 a.m. South African time. A very good morning to you from the voice of South Africa, Radio RSA. Calling West Africa on 25,790 kilohertz in the 11-meter band, 21,535 kilohertz in the 13-meter band, and 17,780 kilohertz in the 16-meter band.
Wow. That was great. So, I'm pretty sure some of you just got a dose of going back in time here. John Beck, remember how you could hear the bells linger on as Radio Netherlands had on its interval sound? Yep. Radio RSA, beautiful station interval. Yep, definitely one of the most beautiful ones. That was definitely a beautiful interval signal. 25,790, pretty crazy. We're to show Africa today. Jeff Radio 2 days ago, I heard VHF communications of the cycling range Tour de France with the UV5R on 170.180. Oh, this is cool. Line of sight, 25 to 50 kilometers. Oh, that's nice. That's nice. Yeah, Canadian Radio TV guy. This is the last stream. We're going on vacation, coming back August 17th. The radio for Radio RSA was my Realistic DX302. That's what I was using. Realistic DX302 with the frequency display. I don't think I've ever tuned it on the DX100, but I was tuning it definitely on the Realistic DX302. That 11-meter frequency was great, RGA Dakota, because the higher in frequency you are, the less the fading is intense And often it has a much more subtle fading, goes up and down slowly, not like 49 meter band, which is often a lot faster in fading. So it actually gave it some really good quality. And, it shows us also the times. I mean, that signal was good, but, maybe it was only S3, S4 at a time sometimes. But there was just no noise. We would hear that super clear, It's like going at the park. When I go to take a walk with my radios, those stations, the BBC on 15400 is only maybe S5 or S6 on the meter. But look at how easy it is to listen to the program because there's no noise. So even a weak signal is easy to listen to when there's no noise. And that's the big problem today. A lot of the stations we could be listening to still are washed out in our local noise. Frank has a QSL with flowers from RSA with different. Yeah, 11 meters. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. So now I know that there is the local service. Yeah, okay. That's the interval signal I got first. But, yep, absolutely. That was absolutely an amazing interval signal. Yeah, Moscow Nights is pretty cool. We'll end the show with Moscow Nights a little later. Oh, yeah, John. The world was much different place back in the day. Definitely. I can tell you that. Like 2112. Boy, do I remember Radio RSA. Kevin Michael. You tuned to Radio RSA, the Voice of South Africa. I had a record of the opening tune they sent me in 1980s. 17800. 25790 was well heard in the UK. David says, awesome Radio RSA QSL, really unique for sure. I'd say I never heard any stations on 11 meters myself. Last time I heard an actual shortwave station on 11 meters. Trying to remember. I heard some, pretty sure I heard some other station, but Tobruk Tim, nice to have you here. There's still content today, Tobruk Tim. You just have to listen to the stations. The content is still there today. We got to remove the U.S. religious stations that are way out there too much, but there's a lot of content today still. It's just that the problem with the content is that you have to have a low enough noise floor to be able to listen to the stations that are not relayed, at least by WRMI. But there was a lot of stuff from that was unusual. That was another time also in the fact with the Cold War. All these stations were giving us all sorts of things that are pretty unique. What else do we have? Kevin Michael, Grinding Godboard 400 for Radio RSA. Pretty crazy. What else do we have? RGA Dakota, yeah, 21525 is Radio Africa or the Pan American Broadcasting, they're called, via WRMI. Yep. What's on 15970? Probably CNR1 jammer because it's not an international broadcast band. So I wouldn't be surprised that you're getting CNR1 on that frequency. Let me check if I hear anything here. Nothing at all here. It's here west, so it's possible that you're hearing a CNR1 jammer, 15970. I don't think, personally, PLF Radio, I don't think that the 11 meter band will ever be used again by an international broadcaster. Funny, because last broadcast schedule, Radio France had registered with the HFCC a frequency on 11 meters, which was kind of interesting. It was like, what, really? They're going to use that? and apparently it was for Africa. But I don't see many stations going on the 11 meter band anymore. One of the main reasons they were using it back in the day was to escape all the crowds of stations from the other bands. On 11 meters, there was not a lot, so you were almost sure if the signal went through, you were almost sure that you were getting at least a pretty good, a pretty good signal and a pretty good transmission, because there's nobody else around. Yep, Swiss was there, France was there. Actually, there was in CIDX Messenger last month, 2 months ago. We had a roundup of a lot of stations. Voice of America was there. Voice of America used 11 meters also. Deutsche Welle. Yep, definitely, John. It's the CNR1 Jammer, Canadian Radio TV guy. It's just because of the time, and it's probably not propagating as well. The strength of the signal doesn't mean anything. 15970 at this time of day probably is, in summer, it's making it, but it's probably not making it as good as it could be. But that's a CNR1 Jammer for sure. Sometimes I hear a station on 18900 RJ Dakota. Yeah, that also is probably CNR1 Jammer again, for sure. Francis, thank you guys for getting me back into the shortwave. However, it's had a negative effect on my bank account. Man, yeah, that's the negative side of all of it. I'm going, guys, to wrap things up, because I am a little tired and hungry, and I got a few things that I want to do that I need to prepare. Plus, tomorrow there's going to be the special event station. So what we're going to do is I'm going to wrap up with the Moscow Knights team. You guys want that. And what we're going to do is we'll be back, like I said, on August 17th with regular shows. Hope that you enjoyed this show today, that you had a lot of fun. And we'll be having a little bit of time off. I'm actually going to order pizza, I think, now. Moscow Knights. Here, must have it here somewhere. Here we go. So hope that everybody's going to have a great time. Take care, my friends, for that month where I will not be here. Hope you don't. Hope you'll find a little bit something else to do while I'm gone. And of course, we'll be back. Thanks all everybody that gave me a little tip today. And I think everybody, it's going to be fun to be back. And don't forget that so when we come back on the 17th, it's going to be a regular show. But on the 20th, the Saturday show of that week, it's going to be the 40th anniversary. We're going to do a little something about the 40th anniversary of me in radio. And the DX100 that started all, and that means why I'm here doing these shows. So stay safe, everyone. And hope that everybody will enjoy. Stay safe, guys.